Hi, everyone. Carol here, medium and spiritual messenger, working to bring intuitive and spiritual insights to help you optimize your well being. Today, it's time for the channeled lesson of the week, and I want to talk to you about these intuitive and spiritual connections. Spirit actually wants to talk about why these two things go hand in hand and how they can best serve you. Oftentimes, people think of intuitive or psychic or psi, whatever term you want to use. We tend to think of those as things that are simply for predicting the future, for telling us information about our bodies and ourselves. But what this is really about is about connecting with spirit. If spiritual helpers, if divine sources are really truly out there and available for us, and I personally believe that they are, if you're watching, you probably do as well, then the question becomes, how do we connect with them? There is no other way that we can connect with our spiritual helpers than through the heart and through the mind, right? As well as through the body. Now, I do have a caveat that's being brought forward here, and that, of course, is the use of signs and synchronicities. We often ask God or spirit or universe, whatever term that you associate as the ultimate divine source, to help us to bring things into our path. And so we may run across these little synchronous moments. We may run across these experiences that we go, wow, how did that happen? I really needed that. That made me feel special today. That made me feel like I was being supported. So these experiences come into us in these external ways. And we want to continue to have those because they're very important. But the real relationship with spirit, God, again, as well as those on the spiritual realm, whether that's loved ones or guides or teachers or angels, whatever it is that you personally want to connect with, the deeper relationship comes at the core when we connect intuitively. And so while we are talking this week about a channeled lesson, what's really coming through is spirit wanting to encourage people to get out of this notion that intuitive or psychic is something that we do to help others. The answer to that, they're saying, is an absolute yes. It is a primary force they're talking about in our lives and being able to utilize and connect with others at this very deeply spiritual level. But they're also talking about at that primary level again is about connecting with spirit. It is our evolution, our development, they're saying, that really is in their interest. And for so many of you out there, they're saying that we are hearing prayers, people are asking, and we understand that there is an enormous amount of need on the planet right now. And spirit is saying, we want to connect with you. And so how do we do that when you're in this place of turmoil, when you're in this place of unrest, and when you're in this place of not willing to be quiet and to sit down and to invite in spirit? Now, I'm being reminded about a channeled lesson that came up a couple of weeks ago about communion with God and making space. And this is very much the similar type of thing in them saying you have to be willing to sit down and to make space. But the lesson this week goes just a little bit deeper, and it talks about not just making the space, but getting rid of our hangups that we have about what it means to be psychic. What we are really doing is inviting a deep relationship with spirit into our lives so that the communication that we are requesting from God, from divine, from our loved ones, from all of the spiritual helpers that are out there, comes at an internal level as opposed to an external level. Imagine, and they're giving me this example to share with you now. Imagine that if I couldn't speak to you right now, and the only way I could communicate was by giving you signs and symbols. I would have to draw things on little pieces of paper. It's kind of like they're showing me either charades. That's what they're showing me, charades. They're going, have you ever tried to communicate using charades? When we rely strictly on signs and synchronicities, this is what they're saying is it's like charades. Everything has to be lined up. They're very powerful, they're very potent, and signs and synchronicities are not going to stop. But the true relationship comes from this internal experience. So they're shifting now just briefly to talking about, so how do we do that? We need to get out of the mindset of psychic, and we need to see this as the relationship. We need to see this about expanding our awareness so that we can invite in the relationship that we need to gain that comfort, to gain that healing, to gain that clarity and insight, to gain the direction, and to figure out who we are as divine beings. because they're talking about the fact that every one of us is here with a divine purpose. Yes, we're here to maybe have families, to have jobs, but there is something extra special that each one of us was put here to be allowed to do. Sadly, what I'm hearing is so many people never get to that point because we become entrenched in our daily lives. That does not mean that our daily lives stop. Your purpose may be very much in line with what your daily life is. And I'm hearing that it is. It's exactly where you need to be. But to allow you to open up that inner space, that divine space, for you to manifest what you're truly here to do, all of these things are going to take some work on our part, some effort on our part. And they're kind of going, it has to start here. It has to start here. There's basically 4 levels that I'm being told to talk about very quickly as far as how we connect. And I think most of us who are subscribing right now or watching this certainly understand what that is. And first of all, we receive information again at the heart level. It is our emotions. Our emotions cue us in as to what it is that spirit wants for us. 9 times out of 10, however, our emotions are turbulent and tumultuous, and we are in a state of chaos. This cuts out the connection. And this is why making space is important. This is why checking in with ourselves and asking what it is that we need to feel from this spiritual relationship is really what's important. The other aspect is the body, the physical body, the kinesthetic. Are we being brought to a certain area in our body? Is there a certain pain? Are we feeling something? Is there a resonance with an energy or a vibration that seems to be present? So we're checking not only the heart space, but the body space. The other thing that is very prevalent for a lot of people is the internal visualizations, right? Flashes of image, flashbacks to a kind of like photographs in your head. And having these awarenesses of experiences in the past, or even of things that maybe not make any sense to you. Signs and symbols can come in the term in the process of visualizations, pardon me. The other 4th way is, of course, the mental in terms of thoughts. We sometimes talk about it as hearing things. Honestly, I think it's more thoughts than hearing, but you can certainly wrap those two together. It's a sense of knowing. It's a thought that comes to our mind. All 4 of these things are how spirit are going to connect with us. We need to start paying attention to those. Most of what I'm hearing right now, if spirit is saying, most of you are not listening. You are incapable of listening because of the chatter that is going on in your brain. And spirit is also saying right now, do you not see how you are being led astray by creating all of this chatter in your brain? Your bodies are in a state of fear. Your mind is in a state of chaos. Your emotions are turbulent, and your body is responding to all of this. It is almost virtually impossible for us to reach you when you are in this type of state. So the lesson for this week is to just realize how tumultuous and how upset you really are. And they're saying, you've got to rein it in. We cannot help you if you do not rein in this terror, this fear, and this confusion that you have right now. They're not negating that these are legitimate feelings, that these are legitimate experiences, and that I'm hearing that the world can be in a state of chaos right now. The problem is, if you want a solution, you cannot be embroiled in that problem. You can see the problem, they're saying, but you need to see it over here off to the side. You need to calm yourself down, get into this state where you're able to receive and connect with spirit. That's where you're going to get your benefit. That's where you're going to get your healing. This is the space. They're going, some of you didn't get it. So I don't know what's happening, but apparently for some of you maybe that did or didn't listen, I'm hearing you didn't quite get it. And so we want to talk about it again. This is the space that you need to be in. You are over here in the chaos. We need to be over here in the quiet. Make time, find a way, right? Meditation. If your prayer is another good way, they're talking about in doing that. And setting aside that space to allow that to come in and start working from these internal perspectives. So the lesson this week is to be very short because they're saying we don't want to burden you with all of this information, because what we're really trying to get people to do is unburden themselves with the information that they're being bombarded with and to start connecting with spirit. We cannot help you. We cannot work through you if you do not start listening. And they're saying, please, we want to assist you. We want to help you. We want to raise your vibration, give you the solutions, give you the strength, give you the courage, and give you the wherewithal to know how you need to proceed. They're also talking about you cannot fight this alone. If you think for any moment that you can fight what's going on right now alone, you are mistaken. We need to fight this as a collective. And that means each person must do their part. You do not know what part you need to play if you are not connecting with spirit. So connect with spirit, build the relationship, open up intuitively, invite in the divine, and we will help you figure out what it is that you best need to do. Each of you will have your own role, your unique niche, and that is where you need to focus. To believe that you need to be over here doing this and over here doing that and fighting this and fighting that is actually division, and that is not going to conquer the problem. We in spirit see what's going on. We know what needs to be handled, and we know how you can best serve and do that. Allow us to come in and guide you, and we will guide you in that moment and in that direction. And then we will become a collective force for good. There will be plenty of individuals who will fight a fight that you don't have to fight, and you will be fighting a fight that they don't have to fight. So figure out what it is that you can best do. And we do not mean fight in terms of argue, fight in terms of a battle, but rather the fight that you bring is the light that you bring into the world and the service that you are meant to provide. We are here to provide you with that insight and that awareness, but you must stop being in turmoil and allow us in and allow us to combine and connect with you and guide you forward. And so with that, they say is the lesson for the week. They are asking that you all hope and embrace this and accept this message in the love and intent that it was meant. So until next week, thank you for listening. Bye-bye.